I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corgi Shank, mother of Cat, who might be obnoxious.
I mean, is obnoxious might be more obnoxious now.
Particularly in this moment.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. We're here again, doing our thing, making fun of Rachel's cat. No, I love Champion.
Oh, no.
My adorable foreign cat son that I'll never meet.
I think, frankly, that Case is paying off my cat.
Oh, really?
To be obnoxious right now. I thought we squashed this beef, Case, but here we go again. You know, you're messing with me and my family.
And
my punctuation desires.
And the giggles you've been hearing thus far are of our incredible guest, the incredible Destinee Cleveland. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on, and it's good to be here.
I'm really excited to have Destinee. Destinee is one of the hosts of the Burnout Brighter podcast, a show that I have guested on. It is a podcast about gaming and mental health. It's an incredible show that you should definitely check out. She hosts it with Matt and Darren, and though I have a beef with Darren because he wasn't there for my episode, so just throwing that out there. But we're going to talk.
Yeah, start all the feuds.
Exactly.
We're doing it.
I love it.
And then also Destinee works on a webcomic we're going to talk about. But before we get to any of that, you know what we're going to do first. We're going to talk about the most recent thing we've watched. And I, of course, am going to go first. I have a feeling Destinee already knows what it is because she reacted to my Twitter posts about it. But today I watched a movie that I had sworn I was going to watch much sooner and never got around to till today. But I have continued my path through the Monsterverse, and I have finally watched Kong Skull Island.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I loved it. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I am an old school King Kong fan. I am an old school Godzilla fan. We talked about this with Derek and Charlotte a bit, who do Castle Bravo, the Godzilla podcast. And I've always been a fan of that stuff. I love those old school movies. And, I even sort of liked Peter Jackson's King Kong. It wasn't awful. It was fine. But this movie is kind of the modern retelling of King Kong that I've kind of always wanted. They do some really interesting things with the movie. The cast is incredible. It's astonishing who is in this movie, especially since some of them, typically, some, I would have thought these were their first roles for some of these actors, and now they've turned up in a ton of other stuff. My favorite of which was, I believe it's Jason Mitchell is the actor's name, who I've seen in a bunch of stuff, plays one of the soldiers. There's some crossover with In the Heights, one of the scientists who is played by, can't remember the actor's name, but was in The Heights just last year. Mark Evan Jackson, of course, who I love from literally everything, is in it as
that voice happens and my soul goes to heaven.
and
Mark Evan Jackson.
Continuing to play a shit heel of a person as this snarky scientist who ends up getting stepped on by King Kong. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's great.
But also, I mean, at the top tier, we've got, Tom Hiddleston and Samuel Jackson and Brie Larson and John C. Reilly and John Goodman. It's just, this cast is ridiculous. I knew it was a good cast, and I had known who some of the folks were in it, but the character work in this is absolutely brilliant. I love that they ditched we're going to go film a movie. Oh no, there's a big monkey story. I love that it was kind of more modernized, even though it still is a story that's a period piece that takes place in the past. And also it was fun to watch Tom Hiddleston be smarmy in a different way. Loki, we have this expectation from him, and even a few other things I've seen him in, he kind of falls into that kind of vibe. But this was very different. It felt very Nathan Drake, almost very Uncharted, which I'm sure is kind of on purpose. It's of an archetype. But it was fun to watch him do that, but still be a compassionate character and not just be the snarky asshole. There was some depth to it. And Brie Larson was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I love her in everything, but her character, they had the femme that reaches out to King Kong kind of narrative, but they do it in a much different way. The compassion and the empathy is portrayed in a different way. And so I can't believe how much I loved this movie. I really I expected to like it, but it was better than Godzilla, I think. And I liked Godzilla a lot, but I think this is the better of those two movies so far. Have you both seen this?
Yes.
Yeah. I think when it came out, it was one of those like, this one's gonna be big and dumb, and I gotta go see it in the big dumb way. I had a blast. I don't remember every moment,
Sure.
but I do remember the general fun vibe, the good choices.
Yeah,
I thought it
also
was pretty good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I liked that he wasn't. I I feel like in every other movie they've never given him any depth, and I'm talking about Kong himself.
Yeah, of course.
So I
Mhm.
felt like in this movie he had like a lot more depth, and his story was a little different. And I think I appreciated him more than just being like this terrorizing kind of like giant gorilla going through and like destroying things just because he's angry, right? So
Yeah, I think that the way they frame him as the protector of this island, but only after he's trashed these helicopters, like the early scenes where he first of all, when you're watching the helicopters and then you just see a tree come through one of the helicopters, and I'm like, whoa, and then you see another tree go flying, and then you see Kong, like I'm like, okay, he's a monster, he's aggressive, like he's attacking them, but then like very quickly you realize, oh no, he's mad because you were blowing stuff up on his home. And like they very easily bring you back around to being on Kong's side, which, you know, is the whole story, is like, who's the real villain here? And like Samuel L. Jackson as the villain here, which is not just a clear cut, like he's a bad guy, like he's traumatized from the Vietnam War, and he's, you know, a career soldier, and like the complex way they tell that story and still make him the bad guy is really interesting. And I agree, Destinee. I think Kong's narrative, like they want you to sympathize with him, but the way they get to it is really interesting. I also love that there are character actors in this film that had I not waited to watch it, I would never recognize. Like I love Eugene Cordero, who is literally in everything, but like of course I know him from The Good Place, and then of course from Loki. Like it's occurring to me now, this is the first of two times that Eugene Cordero has worked with Tom Hiddleston, which is very funny to me because they were both in Loki. But I would have not, like, he was great, but I would have never given him a second thought had I not seen The Good Place first. And so like to recognize that. Also, the second time that Eugene and Mark are working together, which is also pretty funny. Like the through line of these actors is pretty funny to me, that there's this connective thread. But every role, I think, serves its purpose really well. And like there's no wasted screen time, there's no wasted character moments. John Goodman is always good, and he's completely like unhinged here as like this, you know, and still gets his comeuppance. And what I love about the way they choose to tell the story is there are some funny and fun moments, like even with John C. Reilly, who plays Hank Marlowe, the pilot we see at the very beginning of the movie, who I was wondering if we would see again. And the fact that like he's played for comic relief in some moments, but for the most part gets to do a ton of really great dramatic work, and then gets to return home over the credits. Like I was genuinely crying during that scene. It's so emotional. And like I didn't expect that kind of resolution, but the fact that I got it was brilliant to me, you know, because they would have just, in any other movie, they would have just left that character like, oh, he's the comic relief, he helped them out in a moment of truth, and then they would have forgotten about it. But giving him that closure and giving us that closure was really cool. It of course has a post-credit scene setting up King of Monsters, which I knew was kind of coming because now since then we've gotten King of Monsters and Kong versus Godzilla. And so I think the world building is really good. I could have had this in isolation without the world, like the greater like monsterverse, but I think it's easily the best monster movie I've ever seen, because it's so much more complex than a lot of the other ones that we've gotten. Now I can't speak to the other two because I haven't seen them yet, but I'm along that journey now, and so I'm curious to see how it keeps going.
Well, I will say the Kong versus Godzilla one.
Yeah.
It's not craft.
Oh no.
It's big pro wrestling
Okay.
with the monsters doing the fighting instead of like big beefy boys. That's it.
Yeah.
There's a plot, I think. It's mostly just they fight and it rules,
okay.
and it's amazing.
All right. I mean, I think that Kong and the first Godzilla movie needed a more delicate plot than maybe King of Monsters and Godzilla vs Kong would need.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in this. I hope they make more of them. I'm just glad that I finally sat down to watch it. And I said before, like, and I said this on Twitter, Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston are big bisexual panic. Like the two of them on screen together. I'm like, well, now I'm just, I'm here. All right, let's go. But also, like, I love that even actors who you typically wouldn't consider to have that kind of moment to have it. Like John C. Reilly is not an actor that I'm particularly attracted to, but looks really handsome in his uniform when he goes home to see his wife and son, and like cleans up really well and gets to. I like when actors who are typically funny and goofy get to have those moments to shine. So I feel like John C. Reilly has gotten them now, but like doesn't always. Like he's often like, I love him as Wreck-It Ralph, but he's a goofball in that role, right? He has some serious emotional beats in the way Disney does it, but this was something different, I felt like. So it was good stuff. I'm excited to watch more of it, and can't wait to see more giant ape on screen, because the special effects in this film also were unbelievable. This is the best I think King Kong has ever looked since like the old school guy in a suit days.
Amazing. Now I want to go back and rewatch this. You've like made me want to return. I'm just watching that whole thing backwards because I did watch Godzilla versus Kong. Then I watched King of Monsters, and I haven't gone back to Skull Island, so I should maybe do that.
Yeah, just go in reverse, Yeah, rewind time.
What is time if not a lake?
But yeah, and like the one other thing I'll say is I'm not familiar with this director, Jordan Voight Roberts. I'm not familiar with the screenwriters, like, and all of it is still a really great package. It was beautifully shot, and so like it's always fun to discover. I'm curious what other things Jordan has done, because I feel like I must know his other stuff. But it looks like this was like his big movie, and so that's also kind of really cool. He's apparently a part of the Metal Gear Solid movie that's in pre-production, starring Oscar Isaacs, which, like, I'm ready to be attracted to Solid Snake. Let's go. Let's do it. Why not? But this seems like it's like his big, like one of his big movie moments. And so that's pretty cool. So I'm curious to see what other stuff he does.
He did a good job.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, let's see more. But before we give more of ourselves, Matt, I have to ask you a question.
Yes, of course.
Look at me transition
smooth like a butter.
Ooh, never even knew a transition was coming, did you?
Not a clue. Caught me by surprise.
Well, yeah, Matt, if you had to sum up Kong Skull Island in just 3 words, and they cannot be Island, Skull, or Kong, because time's a lake, how would you describe this film?
Big ape action.
Big ape action.
Okay.
Ugh, I wish. I wish that was my description for what I brought, but it's not.
I really loved it. If you've been waiting on this one, go watch it. It's still on HBO Max, so definitely go check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yum.
Rachel, my intrepid co-host.
Oh no.
What have you brought to the podcast as the most recent thing you watched?
My continuing run as world champion of watching magical trash is coming in with a third. Gonna knock this out of the park. First, I would like to say I did see this in a movie theater, but the theater that I was in had 2 audience members, myself and my partner. We selected this film because no one was in that theater, and we knew we were gonna have ourselves a time, and I didn't know it was gonna be the best bad time I've possibly ever had. I'm bringing the 2014 filmed, released in 2022, Pierce Brosnan vehicle, The King's Daughter.
Oh my God.
I saw it. I witnessed it in a real movie theater. it ruled. It was wild. It was the wildest time. It was so wild. Just to give you an idea, it kicks open with a book, and Julie Andrews is the narrator.
Okay.
Explaining that King Louis XIV, who is being played by Pierce Brosnan, yes, has a secret daughter who's raised in a convent, not knowing who she is, and she really, really likes swimming in the ocean. And the nuns at the convent think that the ocean is the Satan's water. And are like, we can't get you to listen to us, Marie Joseph. We've tried everything. We've burned your cello.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the energy of this movie. Julie Andrews narrating this. King Louis XIV, just done with a really expensive war. While he's addressing the people, someone shoots him with a musket, and he survives. And the narrator has to be like, King Louis knew that his reign would end one day. So he starts looking for the key to immortality, and it's from the organs of a mermaid.
Okay.
There's mermaids in this movie. Yes. Okay. That's as much as you need to know about this. Everything else is wild. There's a large swath of this movie where Marie Joseph does not know that she is King Louis's daughter. And there's so much sexual tension.
Oof.
It's like she has to think that the king wants to, she has to think this, but not in like a creepy way. It's just in a way that this movie is nuts. Like, you're not like, I'm not skeeved out by this, but like, she's gotta be thinking in the back of her head while she's composing music for the king that like, he's into her. It's the best. And it's got this sapphic energy between Marie Joseph and the mermaid that it instantly has to go no homo on in the wildest way. It's like she swims near the mermaid and then she comes out of the water and you're just like, oh, this mermaid experience was so magical. And then like this hot pirate's just like, hi, it's me, the boy you have to love. It's great.
Okay.
I loved every second of this madness. I have seen better movies make me more upset than this movie did. I have watched better movies and had less fun at them.
I looked up the poster and like Pierce Brosnan
Nonsense.
looks like he stepped out of a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Like
That's-
that
oh my
wig
God.
is terrible.
I'm glad you
the
said
Musketeers
that.
have guy liner. The costumes are appalling in terms of like any care to historical dress from the Palace of Versailles during King Louis XIV's rule. The girls are wearing like 2014 smoky cat eyes.
This
and,
isn't like a Disney movie, is it? Because
No.
it does sound like a terrible plot for like maybe the
does,
7th
right?
Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Oh my god. And it wanted to do pirates so badly. Like there's so much like touching on it, but no, this movie is an adaptation of a novel that's almost completely different
Of course.
from this movie called The Moon and the Sun. It's still like, is King Louis wants this mermaid for the secret to immortality. It's, yeah. But like most everything else is vastly different. But it
You've
was first
sold
picked
this
up
movie to me. I've gotta
by
watch it.
Henson in 1999 and was just like, they had Natalie Portman in it for a second and like that fell through. Like this movie passed through so many different companies and its opening like credits are so long because of it.
Wow.
Cannot believe it.
God.
It's amazing.
And you said it was filmed in 2014 but didn't come out till now?
Yeah.
Huh.
And you'll know why when you watch it. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. The CG of the mermaid is not good. The pop needle drops that they select are just gonzo. Oh, just everybody looks like they're in like prom dresses. Oh, you can see so many hidden zippers. Like the costume aficionado in me was just like, what are they doing?
Oh my god.
None of this is real. There's electricity running the fountain. It's great.
Amazing.
Okay.
All
You're
right.
just watching the fountains and you're like, those would not be running like that. That is most definitely modern fixtures. They didn't care. They just were like, we want to be in Versailles. That's all. We just want to film this movie in a pretty place.
So is it
That's all that
supposed to be like
matters.
a kind of like a modern telling of this story?
No, it's set in actual
Okay.
King Louis XIV's court. Like,
Okay. I was just curious if it was something like Romeo and Juliet that came out a long, long time ago with Leonardo DiCaprio.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
No, this is
no, okay. This is just
canonically supposed to be happening within the like
I'm gonna
yeah.
watch it. Like you've sold me.
it's
Like, I have
it's
to see
like-
this.
it's like a horse girl's nightmare, but it's so fun. You can't be mad.
Oh my god.
I literally was not angry for a single second of this movie. I was incredibly baffled, but never mad.
All right.
Entertained, right?
I mean, look, if as long as you had fun, I feel like that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
Same.
It was the most January movie of January movies.
Amazing. Excellent. Well, Rachel, if you had to
There are no words, man.
you're gonna
There
have to
are
think of at
none.
least 3. If you could sum up the king's
Oh.
daughter without using the words the king's or daughter, what 3 words would you just use to describe this
Oh.
film? Oh man.
Oh my god.
You can do this. I believe in you.
There's just so much. Like, how do you encapsulate just this shit grinning Pierce Brosnan that's running around? Worth the wait.
There you go. Nice. Amazing.
That was good. That was good.
Well done.
Cheese.
wa-
Cheese and crackers.
I'm always-
This movie.
I'm always curious how many because we brought our fair share of like so bad it's good movies to this pod. I'm curious how many people actually watch them after that. I'm just curious.
I truly do hope people like check out The King's Daughter when it's on streaming. It's not a good movie. It doesn't leave you with a lesson for like how to live life. It doesn't even know. It has such chaos energy though that it's so efficient in its chaos too. Please treat yourself to this. If you just want to be like, sometimes movies get made and you don't know how.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Amazing.
This one's for you.
Amazing. All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Now on to our incredible and lovely and talented guest, Destinee Cleveland, joining us from Burnout Brighter. What is the most recent thing that you have watched?
So I've actually been watching a lot of stuff, but I was debating on whether I was going to talk about this because Rachel has still not finished it, but I'm going to try to talk about it without spoiling it. So I just finished Centaur World, which is a 2-season animated series on Netflix. And it's hilarious. It's so funny. And I think in the second season, it goes into like places that you didn't expect it to go into. Like there's some twist and things and you're like, what's happening? And I think I've been like telling a lot of people that they should watch it. It really puts me on the same kind of vein as like Adventure Time, but a lot more silly and a little more, I don't think edgy is the right word, but they push the boundaries on certain things that like Adventure Time didn't do until like much, much later. For example, like Marceline and Princess Bubblegum being a couple wasn't really established till later in the show. But in this one, I feel like they really do try to have a little representation of the LGBTQ plus community. And they do it in such a way that you're not offended when you watch it. Like it's really, really enjoyable. So I wanted to start off by saying you got to go watch it. If you're a fan of animation, you definitely have to check it out. It's almost like it makes fun of itself like of those kind of like adventure-y stories, because there's so much stuff that doesn't make sense in it that's just there to make you laugh. And there's a really good pace of it, right? There's some serious moments, because what's happening in the very beginning is like there's this crazy war that's going on. And when I first started watching it, the first scene, the different style of animation and character design doesn't link up to what the poster and the introduction look like, right? So you start off, and it felt very like Disney-esque, because there's a lot of singing in it. It felt very Disney-esque with the first character named the Rider. That's the only name you get for her, and she's basically like this young girl who's helping to fight this war that's devastated her village and pretty much the entire kingdom. And the first part you get is they're singing to each other. So she's singing to her horse, who is basically her best friend. And she's like, you're okay, it's all right, because like they just went through like this horrific situation. And then something happens to where, and I'm not going to like go into super details, they get attacked, and something happens to where her horse gets trapped in this different world, which is called Centaur World, which is absolutely nuts compared to like the normal world, right? Like everything's a centaur. There's centaur fish, there's centaur butterflies, and they all have like magical powers, but some of their magical powers are just like ridiculous. Like they can all shoot tiny versions of themselves out of their
From
hooves.
their hooves.
It's just
the best.
It's so crazy, but it's so funny. And the songs are so good.
Yeah.
So I didn't, and that's what I mean by the Disney-esque kind of thing. Whenever you watch a Disney movie, you know you're going to get at least 5 songs.
Yeah.
So watching this, like all the music was done very well. It was all paced very well. I never felt like, oh my God, they're singing again, right? Because that's how I felt in Frozen. And I know a lot of people like Frozen, but I can't stand it. So I felt like it, and it all goes with the story. And one of the things I really liked about it is that it does kind of touch on mental health. It kind of touches on like her struggle with abandonment and her struggle with like not feeling good enough. And all the characters actually have very deep background stories, as you'll find out in the second season. Like they've all had this kind of like tragic background. And it's wild because in the beginning, in the first season, you don't expect that at all. You just think they're big goofballs, but they all have like a really sad story. And I think it gives the series a lot of heart where you weren't expecting it. And I think my favorite characters, I'm going to say this up front because I definitely have characters that I love. Comfortable Doug is literally...
Oh my God, I think about Comfortable Doug. I was just contemplating naming one of my Pokemon Comfortable Doug today.
He, by far, is my favorite character.
I love Flulaborg. I love him.
He's so great. Like, just... his comic relief is so perfect. Like, it's so perfect. He has no real purpose. Like, he doesn't move along the story so much, but you need him. Like, it wouldn't be good without Comfortable Doug. So
he's such a comfortable Doug.
He is. He is. And he'll legit be like, sometimes I just show up. Will I help? Maybe. But most of the time, no. And he's just there. So, I really loved him. I loved all the characters. Whamawink, who is like one of the main protagonists. She's kind of like this llama centaur. Glendale, who is hilarious. She's like my best friend in real life, and she's a kleptomaniac. And she has this stomach that just opens up into another universe. So she can't help herself. She just steals. Like, she can't help it. Water Baby, who I just found out the voice for her, and I can't, it's Renee something, but she was the original singer in, oh my God, Hamilton, the sister.
Yeah.
I mean, not the one who got married.
The voice actors are a lot of Broadway.
Yeah, there are a
Jesse
lot of
Mueller,
Broadway.
Kimiko Glenn.
Yes. So all of them have great voices, which is like incredible. So Water Baby was great. She had a lot. I knew her voice actress was Black because there was just so much sass. So much sass. I was like, yeah, Water Baby. Durpleton is great. Durpleton is hilarious. He has a problem farting. It just, everything is funny. Everything is funny, but it's all like really great. So
yeah, it's like irreverence with gravitas.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, so and Ched's great, and Zulius, who is obviously like supposed to be a huge representation for the LGBTQ plus community, is amazing. He is literally the fiercest centaur zebra I've ever seen on TV. So if you guys want to check it out,
it sounds like this has a lot of common ground with Steven Universe. I love Steven Universe, and like Steven Universe is one of those shows that you watch the first half of that first season, you go, what am I watching? Why is this so weird and goofy? And then you get to like the first emotional beat in the latter half of that season, and you're like,
oh my god,
oh, I see. And like the music in that was phenomenal. So yeah, Rachel brought this on the show a while back and mentioned it right after the first season came out, and I was interested, but now you've definitely sold me on it, Destinee. I definitely have to watch it. We're big fans of animation on this show, and like especially animation that has growth and change. Like I think Adventure Time is okay. I don't love it as much as stuff that comes after it, but I feel like opened the door for this kind of stuff. And so
absolutely.
I love Steven Universe. I loved She-Ra. Like I've started the new He-Mans, both of them, but I haven't finished them. Like I love where that newer animation is not afraid to teach lessons and show kids the world. It's not like, oh, we can't show them this. They may like relationships are okay, trauma, depression. Like I like to say all of my best stories are seasoned with a little bit of horrible emotional trauma, because like we've all been through it, and like it's good to see that kind of stuff in our media, because it teaches us that it can be okay. But even when it's not, like, I mean, Steven's whole arc is essentially, we talked about this on the show, like is never dealing with his trauma, and then eventually what happens when you don't deal with it, and like
you come face to face with it.
And so like it sounds like this, especially in its second season, has a lot of stuff worth digging into. So I'm excited to check it out.
Oh, in its first season.
It does, in the first season. The second season wraps it up so well. And I will say this, I think it was only meant to be like 2 seasons. Like they wrapped everything up so nicely. At the end of it, I didn't feel like, oh my God, I want to watch more. I felt like, you know what? Like that was a good ending. That was perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also my MO. Like I didn't watch Gravity Falls until way after it finished. Of course, after I watched it too, I went, I wish there was more. But this sounds like another one of those, like I can now jump in now that it's done and kind of like check out the whole thing.
Hey, stuff can be really good because it ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a skill to have in television. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I still think The Good Place is one of the best sitcoms in TV history, because it always had an end point. There was always an end goal. And like, especially by that final season, you're like, oh, this makes sense. I'll miss these characters, but I'm glad this ended. And even like Parks and Rec, like, which is a favorite of mine, like was completely lost in its first season, then found itself in its second season. But when it came to that final episode, I was like, no, I'm glad this is a good ending. This time jump makes sense. It's goofy, it's fun, and like we get to go out on top with these characters. And you know, I like when stories get to do that. Some of my favorite animes are one season. You know, Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, and Outlaw Star.
Oh, Cowboy Bebop.
And like they're some of my favorite animes because they have an end goal and they hit it, and then they're done. You know.
Yeah.
Well, Destinee, if you had to wrap up Centaur World in just 2 words without using the one word Centaur World, what 3 words would you use to describe this show?
Inspiring, because I think like a lot of the characters are inspiring as you watch it. Heartfelt, because like everybody, all the characters are doing something because like they really love each other and they care about each other, and they want to do it for the well-being of their entire world. Even the villain, who I didn't name, who is the Nowhere King, like his story is really tragic, and it starts with love too. And just silly, like not afraid to like poke fun at itself, you know, and I really like that. So if you like those adjectives, check it out.
Awesome. Very well said. I definitely will.
Please watch Centaur World. Please do it.
It's so good.
I am begging you. I'm begging.
Literally begging.
I I would get on my knees if it wasn't so far away from my mic. Please watch Centaur World. I am sitting on the midst of season 2 and am now like,
you have to tell me what you
drooling to
think about it
I
at the
will.
end, please. I want
I
to know.
will.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm
thank you.
definitely excited to go check that out. And Destinee, thank you for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you. So I of course connected with you after I connected with Matt, your co-host, and came on Burnout Brighter, which is your incredible podcast about mental health and video games. You've just recently launched a side series focusing on just mental health and talking about its importance and interviewing people within the field of mental health, which I think is also really great. I can't remember how Matt and I got connected. Maybe it was through Left Behind Game Club, but I'm not
He's
positive.
super extroverted, so there's a chance that he could have just
found
reached
me
out to you. Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad he did. I loved being on your show. I would love for you to tell the listeners a little bit, not just about Burnout Brighter, but also kind of how the show came to be. I know that you and Matt and Darren have this deep, long friendship, and it's born out of that. But I would love for you to kind of give the origin story of your podcast.
Okay, so it was originally Matt's idea, and Matt and Darren grew up together, like from like elementary school, and they kind of always wanted to do a podcast because they're always talking about games. So when you're always talking about something, you're like, why don't we record it? Why don't we do a podcast? And for whatever reasons, just life changing, they kept putting it on hold. So they both ended up in South Korea, and Matt ended up working with me. And after knowing each other for a little while, I was actually in California visiting some family members, and there was like the tsunami, so I was super late, but he was like, hey, when you get back, I want to talk to you about something. So I was like, oh shit. I'm thinking something happened at work.
Matt, you never say it like that. Have you learned nothing?
Because I couldn't get back to work because the tsunami had hit China, so there were just no flights. So I was like, man, there's some shit at work, because I was also the academic coordinator at the time, so I was just stressed. So he's like, no, it's not that, it's not a big deal, but I just want to wait till you get here. And I was like, all right. So he took me out for tacos because I love Mexican food, and he was and you could tell he was really nervous about broaching the subject with me. So I'm all stuffing my face. And yeah, so what's up, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, so I've been kind of really wanting to do this podcast about gaming, and I'm sure my face was kind of like, I don't play games like you play games, so I'm not really sure where this is going, right? And he's like, but I think you would be a great person to have on. And I was just thinking and talking to Darren, and it just hit me that you're the missing link or something like that. And I was like, what? And he was like, I just think it would be great because I know you like video games. And I was like, yeah, no, I do like games. I don't play them like you and Darren play them, but I do enjoy games, especially retro and vintage games. I grew up playing them. And he's like, yeah. And he was like, it'd just be great to have your perspective, because it would be different from just me and Darren talking about a bunch of video games. And I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. So I asked him, and I was like, so when are we doing our first episode? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, let's just do it this weekend. Let's just make it happen. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, let's just do it. He was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so that's how it started. We started recording in his small little Korean apartment, all sitting in the living room. And the funniest thing is that we were all drinking our first episode. I think we were all really nervous.
As one is supposed to do their first podcast episode.
Yeah.
A bunch of our first podcasts, we were definitely drinking. So what happened is that it got corrupted. We recorded the whole thing, and then Matt went to go check it. And by this time we're 2 sheets to the wind, we are fucked. And he's like, oh my God, guys, it didn't save, the whole thing's corrupted. And he was super, super upset. And I guess when we realized we really wanted to do it, or when he realized we were in it to win it, is we were just all right, let's just do it again. Let's just do it again right now. Let's just do it again. So we are super drunk, but we got that first episode done, and it's just been going since then. We've been introducing we've been introduced to amazing people. We've been really trying to, I think my place in it is that we were always going to talk about mental health and gaming, but I really, really wanted to focus on social health. I mean, not social health, but social justice, inclusion, and diversity.
Hell yeah.
And I felt like I couldn't be on this podcast if I didn't talk about like the struggle of POC, working within the industry and just what was going on. And I think when it became really important to me, when I felt like the podcast was partially mine, because for a long time it just felt like this is Matt's thing and we're kind of doing it with Matt, is when the incident with George Floyd happened, and like we dedicated like 2 episodes to talking about what was going on in the US during that time, because I wasn't there. And from that point on, I knew that like that was my role. Like that's what I really wanted to do with our platform, was to bring people on who were in the LGBT plus Q community, who were Black, who were Asian, who were Native American, and talking about their experiences, and not just within the game industry, but just in general. So I think we've expanded a lot from just being about gaming and mental health. We really have expanded it, and we found our stride, and we're just kind of going with it. So yeah, that's kind of the story of the podcast.
I love it.
I love that you're blessed under like a taco podcast proposal. You know?
It is pretty great.
Maybe the most magical origin story I've ever heard.
It's really
it is
good.
Pretty great.
Yeah, I really love the show. I've been an avid listener since y'all asked me to come on. You had a friend of this show and another member of the Certain POV family, Jeff Moonen, on, and like he's one of my best friends. I've known him for a long time. Spoiler alert, all my podcast co-hosts are my best friends. That's why we started podcast together.
I love it.
That's and so cute. 2 of his podcast hosts are in an a cappella group together.
Yes, that's also true. But like you and Matt and Darren, of course, when he's there as well, I know he's had trouble, being on every episode. But like when you guys interview guests, your questions are so smart and so thought out and clever, and like it's not just about the person, but you go beyond that. And like it's one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done. I learned so much about Jeff that I didn't know just by listening to him on your show, and I've known this dude for a long time. Like it's fun to discover that kind of stuff through your show, and then also get to hear people I've never met before. That you had I can't remember if it was an author or a comic book creator that I really loved. Aisha, who I followed
for DC.
Yes, who I followed immediately and was delightful, and that show was so good. Like when you guys are talking about self-doubt and like not feeling like you're able to actually like you're any good at the work that you're doing, like it's so important to like push through that and try and find something that gives you confidence. Like all those conversations are great, and I really think what you're doing is really important for the space as a team. And like I'm really excited to see more of what you do. I'm excited for this all Matt's episode that Matt is planning eventually. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about, I was going through the backlog today, but you are a part of a comic called Puddin' and Flan.
Yeah.
I love this comic so much. It's so fun. It's so fun. Where did this come from? Did you always wanted to do a comic, or are you just kind of, discovering this as a later thing? Like, it sounds like you've always played games, but I'm curious where the comic came from.
So I originally went to school to be a 2D animator, which is why I absolutely love animation. And the comic idea was actually, it's based off of me and my friends. And it was actually a pitch that we did for Frederator Studios. And I actually pitched to them and everything like that. And because the comic is set up to be a series, and they were just looking for like a 1 episode kind of thing, like we got passed on, but I decided like I didn't want to give it up. And so we kind of were like, I feel like we had important things to say. And again, it comes down with like being diverse, like all the characters, like from Flan, she's half Filipino and white. And then there's James, who's like a Black gay man, which you don't like in our community, in the Black community. That's a hard thing that like they have to like, coming out is so much harder for them. So we don't say that he's gay, we just want people to know that he's gay because we don't think he needs a title. Like,
Right.
we want you to love James for James, whether he's in like a pink tutu or like a jumpsuit. And then there's Puddin, who's kind of like me, who's more like the voice of reason compared to the other two, which is basically like what our real life is like. So the reason why we decided to do the comic, it was always going to be about me, like a version of myself and Jackie. And I think it was like we wanted to put something out there. Like after getting out of art school, like I finished my master's in 2009, and it was just really hard to get a job in the industry. A lot of places were closing down. And in order to work in the industry, you either had to work based on like contracts, which always makes me nervous because I need like a steady income. Like I don't like, and then, or you had to move out of the country.
Right.
And I didn't want to give up on my dream of animating. And plus, like, it's like, you've gone to school for this, you paid all this money, like you need to do something with it. But I also wanted to do something that I would enjoy, regardless if other people liked it or not. And I knew if I liked it, it didn't matter if we didn't get a lot of fans. It was something that I believed in. And I think that was the most important part of Pudding and Flan. It was just something that I believed in and I did with my friends. And like, we've been doing it for a long time. And there's times that like people will message me and just be like, oh my God, like, I'm so glad you make this comic. It means so much to me. And I just didn't ever think that we would reach people like that. And I think that's what keeps me going, like keeps me creating the comic, because sometimes I'm not going to lie, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. Should I keep doing this? But it's like, I don't want to let those people down. And if it's the one thing that kind of like cheers them up, or if they feel like they can relate to the characters, or it makes them smile for half a second a day, if I can do that, then I want to continue to do that. So eventually I want to make it a series. I got to meet the right people, network the right way. And I would love to make it a Netflix series starring those characters and just their wacky kind of lives.
I love that. I think you said something really important though, right? Like, it's hard. Like, I mean, I've been on your show. I do too many things, and like, to keep doing them is hard sometimes. I'm very blessed that on this show and on all my shows, I have incredible co-hosts that inspire me and motivate me, but also like, it's one of those things that like, no one wants to do anything all the time. We all have burnout. We all are uninspired. There are days where I'm getting ready to record this show and I'm like, I guess I watched this and I'm tired, but we'll do it. But then I get into it and like, I have wonderful guests like you come on and like put a smile on my face and make this really exciting. I get to goof off with Rachel. And like, I think that acknowledging that, but also hearing what other people think of it, like anytime you can shout out a creator you love, do it. Never think, oh, they don't want to hear from me, or, I'm just bothering them. You are not bothering us, because it's the thing that keeps folks who make stuff going. And like, every time someone says, oh, I listened to the show and I loved that episode, my favorite thing is,
you do?
Yeah.
It's every time I
Really?
never I never assume anybody listens to anything. And like, I know folks have had bad experiences with other more well-known creators who are like, oh, how do you not know this thing I make? Like, there's a certain games adjacent podcast group that like, they just get up in arms like, how do you not know I'm from this thing? It's all I do. And it's like,
don't you know who my podcast is?
yeah. And it's like, come on. Like, I'm always genuinely surprised and overjoyed when someone says they've listened to a
I
thing
feel
I've
the
done.
same way. It's almost like being blessed, right? Like, I'm not a super religious person, but like, if somebody says, like, I've met people who are like, oh my God, you're the creator of it, because I never like flaunt it.
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, you're the one who makes Pudding and Flan. And I'm always like, yeah. And I'm just always excited that they like it, because I don't talk about it enough. I know, but I don't want it to be me. I don't want my face to be like what it is, because my two other people are just like, we don't want to be the face of it. So I love that it's getting popular on its own merit without
Yeah.
me being like, hey, I'm also part of this podcast, you could go check out my stuff, you know, like I love that it has its own thing and it's separate and people just enjoy it.
Yeah, but Destinee, you're awesome, and you should also do that and promote your
I
stuff.
know Matt tells me that all the time and I just don't think about it.
Matt is right. Also, like, I love that you brought up your retro gaming. Like, you did an episode of Side Quest on Streets of Rage, which I loved. Because I love Streets of Rage 2, which is the game you actually did it on in that franchise, and because like your personal story about playing it growing up and like how like I know so many siblings who grew up playing beat 'em ups together and like loving that kind of arcadey game, but like also Matt's episode on Mega Man Battle Network, and like eventually we'll get Darren on, but like I love these personal stories. And I could tell from the minute I met you that we were going to get along because of just how you revere gaming. And I'm so glad that Matt asked you to be on the podcast, recognizing a thing that like I recognize in Rachel, who also I think often is like, oh, I'm not a gamer, I like video games.
I'm
but
just here for the goofs. Like really, like we gotta stop. I'm here to make the mouth garbage that hopefully makes people giggle.
But you also like. I've told Destinee this. I make fun in games and especially side quests for folks like both of you who play the games they like but wouldn't consider them a gamer, whatever the fuck that means, which is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Like there's no such thing as a hardcore gamer. There are people who like video games. That's it. And like the people on the shows who are like that are the people I'm making these shows for, because I think like everything else, there should be a gate to keep for this stuff, you know.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that Matt saw that voice in you, because I totally see it too. And you know, and Rachel is someone I've known for a long time, but it wasn't until Rachel got their Nintendo Switch that we really started talking about video games. And like I love that you're so into it now and you started streaming with your partner. And like my favorite thing about Rachel with video games and John is similar to me. They are the kind of deep dive nerd that wants to talk about the nitty gritty about the game and the mechanics and all this stuff. Like we did it when we talked about Fire Emblem. All Rachel wants to talk about is the pretty boys and the pretty girls.
Yeah.
And like what happened in the story. And I just love the
I only care about the narrative design. I'm not technical about like how the fighting is. I don't care about any of that. And like how pretty the game looks. Like I will literally play a game based on the artistic style of it.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. That's how I felt about Eastward.
Yeah.
Yes.
I finished that in like a week.
Oh, so
but then
good.
I was like, okay, I know like a lot of people like it, but then like after the 5th chapter, I just got kind of confused on what was going on. When we could talk about that another time, but like it's a beautiful game. It's beautiful, and I love pixel art. So anything that looks vintagey is my stuff.
Yeah, I don't love when cinema or like television like tries to hijack my emotions from me. I don't enjoy that. But if a game does it to me, it's like, this one's going to make you cry so bad. I'm in, because like it's keying into that like interactive, like I am consenting to this emotion, you know, because like if it's too much, I can like
you can put it down,
put the game down and walk away. But like when a narrative is just like clipping along in a movie, it's like we have the reins, you have no control, and I do not enjoy that. Yeah, I think and pretty boys will suck me into a game very quickly.
Where is my male Claude relationship in Fire Emblem 3 Houses? Should be able to romance Claude. That dance scene when you're male Violet.
That is a pansexual baby right there.
Yeah.
Who loves you no matter which Byleth you are.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Buy for your left. I'm just saying.
I feel bad. I don't know if I like pretty boys so much in games. I like grungy. Like I'm obsessed with fucking Kratos. Like obsessed with him and
I'm
and
sorry,
Geralt.
a big boy too. A big boy.
Yes.
I mean Kratos also,
a
especially in the
boy,
most recent game.
Fella.
Oh yes. Okay, thank you for saying that. In the most recent game, like Kratos from the first game, I didn't like as much, but like him now,
he's a
is
daddy
like,
now.
Yes, absolutely,
with that beard.
absolutely, daddy. Oh my god,
This is why I watch pro wrestling.
There you go.
Oh my god, this podcast is a continuing like locking in of puzzle pieces. Why I was doomed to become an AEW fan, like why I was doomed from the start.
I love that. Um,
Love it when the big ones throw the little ones. It's the best.
There you go. Exactly. Totally. Are there any games that you're looking forward to that are coming out, Destiny? Stuff that's on the horizon? Like for me, a big one is the new Kirby game. I'm a big Kirby fan, and the new Kirby for Switch looks so good. I'm so excited.
I'm super excited for Kirby just because I grew up playing Kirby.
Same.
Like,
Yeah.
he's so adorable. Like, I
Yep.
need to get more Kirby merchandise.
I have 2 Kirby plushies that are out of sight that are up there. A friend of mine recently for Hanukkah got me the Kirby with the sword, like the Link looking Kirby.
Oh,
It's the best. He's got a little angry face. It's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, I'm very excited for that game. And I'm really excited for another game that I've been watching in development. And oh my God, okay, give me a second because I can't think of what it's called. But I've been following the developer and he's hilarious. He's on Twitter as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, I really like quirky games with like strong narratives.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And the game kind of centers around like, it at first it kind of seems really mundane. Like it's just this guy going to work and just kind of doing his thing. But the name of it is, and I don't know when it's out. I actually saw someone playing it a while back, and he plays a lot of horror games. I don't like horror games, but I'll watch other people play horror games.
Uh-huh.
But me, myself, I won't watch them. And oh my God, guys, I've been posting a lot on Twitter. Okay, it's called Peppered. And
okay.
yeah, and there's a public demo and they're starting their Kickstarter, but like it's a lighthearted 2D platformer, and like just the commentary between the characters it's gold. Like I love when like characters are sarcastic with each other and they are able to play on words and like situations, and you're like, oh my God, that's hilarious, because I never would have thought of it like that. So if anybody, I'll give you the link and you guys can check it out. If you watch it, it's so good. And it's it has that vintage, almost not pixelated, but kind of vintage kind of look to it.
Yeah.
So that's also another reason why I'm excited for it. So Peppered is the game I'm looking forward to.
I love vintage looking games. It's why I loved The Messenger. It's why I'm excited for Sea of Stars, which is by the same creators in the same world. Which I also love that like The Messenger, also goofy, breaking the fourth wall, is this like Ninja Gaiden type game. But now the sequel is a JRPG and it's in the same world. And like that to me is super awesome also. Like I love that they're shifting genres while still existing in the same world. I'm very excited. Yacht Club Games, who make Shovel Knight, which I love, just announced a brand new Game Boy Color style game about like a femme mouse like monster slayer, and it's got this like Zelda mix with Castlevania. Like
anything Zelda and Castlevania, I'm in love with.
Yeah,
anything.
Same. That's awesome. I'll have to check that out. Rachel, I don't know that I've asked you recently, but are there games that you're looking forward to? I know Pokemon just came out, which we're both excited about.
Pokemon just came out. The one that's dominated my attention, but I might be excited about it.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, what's it called? It's the one where you can eat the Pokemon this time. What is it called? My whole life is a lie. I had all this time to look it up, but I was into what we were talking about.
Look, you were paying attention. That's good.
I love the music, though.
I'm just
Rachel is an
trying to
incredible
sing
singer who
through
can make
my
up
own
songs on the
shame.
spot. Yeah.
I love it.
What is it called? But mostly the trailer kind of took off because it's essentially like a Monster Hunter Rise type online multiplayer, but it like has these really close to like actual knockoff looking Pokemon type things. They're called pals. It's called Pal World. That's what it's called.
Pal
Okay.
World,
Pal World. And you can eat the pal if you want, or force them to do labor. It's
God.
wild. It's like beautifully colored, but then all of a sudden it's like you can force your pal to build you guns.
I love the
Wild.
contrast between like the dark themes, but the beautiful, colorful, bright world.
It's just like it's up to you, the player. Do you want to befriend and ride your pal around this world, or do you want to do a capitalism real bad? Go for it. Just don't get caught.
I could never. I'd feel so bad.
I feel so bad.
I have trouble being a
bad
bad guy in any game. I'm
Yeah,
just not
same.
good at it. I like the dark path. It's just hard for me.
I watched the genocide run of Undertale.
Oh, of Undertale.
I watched a let's play of it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it myself.
Oh no.
But I knocked on the first door, and it was like, and no one came. I was like, we can't, I hate this. I made it this far. I can go no further. This is gut-wrenching.
I love when games toy with that stuff, but I'm the same way. Like, I can watch other people play horror games. I've played a few myself, and I've done okay. Like, I played Dead Space, which I really liked, and Dead Space 2. We don't talk about Dead Space 3.
Dead Space was scary.
So scary.
I saw the animation like when I was in college, and I was like, oh, it's a cartoon, so it's gonna be scary.
It's scary.
It's scary. It messed me up. Yeah.
But to take it back to games we're looking forward to, I mean, I mentioned Kirby before, which is probably my most anticipated, and then Sea of Stars, which I mentioned earlier. I like Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time.
Oh my god,
I love JRPGs. I just finished Tales of Arise, which was like such a brilliant return to form, I felt, for JRPGs, and I'd never played a game in the Tales series before. Also, it was on its anime bullshit in the best way. Like the lead character does dramatic screams and drops to his knees, and like Beautiful. There's love and discovery. It's very good. But like Sea of Stars looks like it's doing with JRPGs what Shovel Knight did for action platformers, and I'm always here for like retro games that look like they could be on those old consoles, but the music and the graphics push it to the limit in a way that those old consoles couldn't handle. It's why I love Shovel Knight so much. It looks like a Nintendo game, but between the colors and the sound, like none of that would have run on a Nintendo cartridge.
Right.
And like I love that kind of school of design, and so I'm really excited for that one. I also just love indie games.
Yeah,
like I'm just a big indie game nerd.
I am such an indie game nerd because I feel like they're able. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, please, you first.
I was just going to say, I feel like they are able to take chances that AAA studios won't take. And that's one of the nice things.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I'm starting to get into like retro games and their history, you know, like really digging into decisions that were made by the creative team completely based on limitations, be it technology or whatever, like how the first Resident Evils were fixed cam that you walked through because they could make a more detailed background that didn't move, you know, like it's so fun and interesting in the same way that like it's really fun to watch older cinema and see how they do visual effects, knowing they don't have computers to like build like puppetry and what people can do when they aren't given all of the money.
Yeah.
It's kind of better when you're forced to sort of work within a smaller sandbox. I think you'll find
it forces you to find solutions,
exactly,
right? Like creative solutions. And that's why I really liked Cuphead. Yeah. Because they decided to like go with traditional animation, which you haven't seen in a while, and it looks so different compared to animation now. But it's incredible,
and I can't believe that we're getting a Fleischer style cartoon based on that game. That's a Fleischer style animation. It's just so cool that it's coming back around that way. It's so brilliant. And like Cuphead's a game that I've played and I'm not very good at, but like I love the aesthetic, and so I'm excited that we're now getting a cartoon. It's just it's I what's there's a saying online. It's like I want shorter games with worse graphics made by fewer people for smaller budgets, because like when you have those kinds of constraints is when you do some really amazing work. Some of my favorite indie titles are great because of those limitations, and even AAA games I love a lot of the stuff on the Switch because like Breath of the Wild is a gorgeous game, but it's a gorgeous game on a console that can't do 1080p. It can't do 4K, and it still looks, I'd say, more beautiful than plenty of other games that have those bigger margins, and I think that it's a fascinating study in how you make within your boundaries. And games aren't just about how pretty they look. I love when they're pretty, but like that's not the only reason we make games. And so having those kind of constraints, I think, really push some of these developers beyond what they could otherwise do.
Yeah, and to see sort of like that weird almost Daredevil effect of like, we don't have something, so this other thing's got to go that much harder, you know, like the super powered sonar of it all is something like even the Stanley Parable, which is just like very bare, but like walking simulation that is made so much by like the decision to lean hard into a meta narrative told to you by a narrator who is bound to your whims, not the other way around. It's so cool.
I even think Undertale is a really good example. Like when you're talking about graphics, like the story carries the whole game, because it's not necessarily like a beautiful visual game that you'd look at. It's very simplistic. But it's done very well. Yeah.
Well, it's like when I first played Undertale, I was like, okay, it's doing like the Super NES or NES like static portrait thing. I think I'll get into it, but you so quickly like just start to hear the voices in your head because they have a tone based on the sound bites. And like one of my favorite moments, I think it was last year, I was a guest on RPG University, which is a great RPG podcast. And something that Scott White does, the host of that show, is every episode starts with the guest's favorite scene from the game, and you read that scene as those characters. And then he'll usually put that scene over the video from the game. And so we did the scene where the protagonist first meets Sans and what's his brother's name? I'm forgetting
Papyrus.
Now. Papyrus.
Never
and so
forget
I got
frozen spaghetti.
spaghetti. And so we did that scene, but I got to be Sans and he was Papyrus because the main character doesn't say anything. And so like I got to voice act my favorite character.
That's awesome.
For this little clip for the show. And like that's so fun. And yeah, I agree. I think the reason Undertale works is
puddle of puzzles are so bad.
So bad.
Yes,
Poor Papyrus is just trying so hard.
How bad his puzzles are.
I loved him. I loved him so much.
The characters, like that game is because of its characters though. Same with Deltarune. Even though we only have 2 chapters, like those chapters are powerful because of the character writing. Toby Fox knows exactly what he's doing. And I think strong characters can carry a game beyond any of the limitations. You know,
absolutely.
I loved Fire Emblem 3 Houses, but like it was my first Fire Emblem game, and the reason I liked it is because of the characters. The combat was fun, and like I didn't mind the strategy and the life sim stuff, but like I love that game because the characters are so well written and the voice acting is so good and things like that. And so it's always interesting to see what pulls me through. But I'm grateful that I surround myself with friends and people who also like a good story, because game mechanics are important. The loop is important, but I think a strong story can carry you further than game mechanics. And, you know, that said, I'm a person who doesn't play a lot of fighting games and doesn't play a lot of online shooters, which are perfectly fine games. But I think I'm coming more from a narrative or artistic space. And those games can be artistic in their own right. And they have narratives too. Like I played Destiny 2 for a while and it has a great story. But once the story ends and you're doing the mission after mission after mission to gather resources to prep for that next expansion, I tend to tune out because I want the story. It's
I'm the same way. Like pull me in with the story. I think the best story, even though like Streets of Rage 2 is like my favorite all-time like game, I think the only game that I've like really cried over was Final Fantasy VII when Aerith dies and
Spoiler
how they
alert.
pulled you in. Sorry for nobody who's played that game. It's been out for years. I'm so sorry.
I know. No, you don't know. You don't know anything. It's fine.
But because that was the first game that like really made you like made me fall in love with characters and like even Cloud, who doesn't say a word.
Yeah, he's very soft spoken.
He's very stoic, right? You still love him, which is why I also liked Eastward, because John doesn't speak
at all.
At all. So but no, I absolutely agree. I will take narrative over like beautiful graphics any day. Like Chicory is very simple, but like the story is really great.
Chicory is one of the best telling of imposter syndrome and depression
and anxiety.
in a game
Yes.
I've ever
it's
seen.
So good. It's so good.
Never heard of this game.
You need to play Chicory. It's on the Switch.
Yes.
It's about it's a game that lets you paint the world. It's you play as this little dog who becomes the wielder of the paintbrush, and it's an exploration of imposter syndrome and self-doubt, and it's beautifully done, and the cast is incredible. You would love it, Rachel.
I think you'd really
good.
like it. Also, you guys should try out
I'm
Beacon
in.
Pines.
Okay.
I just
Beacon
throw that
Pines.
out there, Beacon Pines, because I did a playthrough of it, of their demo, and then they had the Bay event, which was the big adventure event for indie developers, and we did it again. And me and Matt actually voice acted for this.
Oh, cool!
On stream, yeah, we did like voices of it. If you like strong narrative games, you'll love it. And like one of the core concepts in it is changing out words to get. It's kind of like a storybook, right? So like the situations, you'll get certain charms where you can change out the words to get different outcomes in the story. Like you can always go back and use a different charm to get a different outcome in the story, and it's kind of like a mystery of what's going on.
That's cool.
But yeah, I think you'd both enjoy it.
Neat.
Awesome. Love good game recommendations.
Yeah.
Well, Destinee, thank you for joining us.
Thank
This
you.
has
Thank you
been
for having me.
a delight. We are going to start to wrap up the show. Before we thank some folks and ask you our final question, please tell folks where they can find you online and where they can find all that you do online.
All right, so you guys can always find me over at the Burnout Brighter podcast. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all the major places that they host podcasts. You can find me at Twitter at D as in dog, N as in Nancy, B as in boy, C as in cat 32. And you can find me under Pudding and Flan. So it's PUDIN and flan, like the desserts.
Yeah.
So yeah, just look up the desserts and you can find us on Instagram. And I'm pretty much on every social media platform, just messing about. So yeah.
Awesome. Love that. Definitely go check out the podcast. You can start with my episode if you want, good starting point. But thank you again for joining us on the show. I hope everyone goes to check out all that you're doing, because I'm constantly amazed and impressed by your work.
Thank you.
Rachel, I think we should probably thank some people.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Of course. We've shared so much gratitude already. Let's have a little more. First and foremost, thank you to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bug, who designed our awesome show art. Thank you, Katie, very much.
And thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network, our little family bit. Little gang of like-minded weirdos. We love it there. Even
we do.
Though my feud with Case is renewed.
Good luck. You'll feud with Case over anything. It's fine. It's fine. We'll just have to bring him back on the show at some point.
He's bribed my cat. But we would love it if you joined us in our little community. Find each other. Find your people. In our people. On Discord. We have a Discord server. That's where I was trying to get, and it went
It's okay.
badly wrong.
It's fine. You're doing great. You're doing
trying to
great,
encapsulate
sweetie.
a lot of big feelings into the call to action.
What my co-host is trying to say is that you should go to
you.
we love you, and you should go to certainpov.com, where we have a permanent invite link to our Discord server. We also have a ton of really great shows over there, like Fun and Games, which Destinee has done an episode of Side Quest for, Panelology, Another Path,
Saturday Morning Confidential,
and Saturday Morning Confidential. That's right, Rachel. Which is a podcast exploring the things that we grew up with, like all the things from Are You Afraid of the Dark to Cowboy Bebop to all sorts of stuff.
The Men of Steel one.
The Men of Steel, which is a Superman
podcast. And
I love that Rachel could always have the list of podcasts up, but instead tries to do it from memory every 2 weeks, and it's never not hilarious.
Rewatch.
Yes, that's also a podcast on our network.
Where they rewatch things together.
Actually sounds fun.
It is really fun. We've been on the show.
Yeah.
It's
great. The hosts are awesome.
Treat.
Also, if you're listening to this and you have yet to rate us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please go do so. Spotify, you don't even have to write a review. Just listen to a little bit of the show and then hit that 5-star button. We as me and Rachel as humans fluctuate on the star scale, but I like to think this is a fine podcast worth a 5-star rating.
Definitely
and my
5 stars.
my co-host is nodding, which is good. Great to do on a radio program.
Yeah,
It's helpful.
I was just thinking about how 5 and fine would get you much closer to the guess on Wordle.
That's true. That
You
is
know.
true.
I
There you
haven't
go.
started that yet.
No, don't. Or
Don't,
do.
don't,
Or do.
don't.
Or don't. I love it.
Um,
They're going to
you
know
can
we're
also-
banking the episodes. Who knows what's going to happen to Wordle next?
yeah, that's true.
On
you
this
can also-
planet? In this economy? Who fucking knows? Wordle?
They're
You
making bank. Somebody's making bank.
Somebody's making bank. You can also find this podcast on Twitter at @screen_snark.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ_storm. Again, you can also find Rachel.
At I am Rachel Quirky.
You can also find us on other platforms across the internet. If you listen to a podcast somewhere, we're probably there.
Yes,
And then you,
just
of course, write
yell at a bird. Any
Yeah.
bird. You'll find
any
us.
bird, not just
Yeah,
Twitter,
just
just
tell
any
you.
bird.
You see
No,
a
just
bird?
To their
Yell-
podcast.
Play
Tweet.
Screen Snark. Just yell it at a bird.
And you can also write us at screensnarkpod@gmail.com. Before we get to go home, even though we are all already home because it's a pandemic and you should be home, don't
You
know,
should be home.
Yeah,
you
it's
should get
not-
vaccinated if you can, boosted, wear a
Don't
mask.
listen to Bill Maher. It's not over. We're
It's
not
not
It's
over,
definitely
Bill.
not over.
It's
Bill
definitely
Maher's a
not
moron.
over. He's a big
Hot
dumb
take.
dummy.
He's a big dumb dummy. But while you're at home, you can also listen to our final part of the show where my incredible intrepid co-host. Now I'm struggling with transitions. It's like contagious. Rachel's going to ask our guest the final question.
Yes.
Rachel, if you please.
I most assuredly am going to do that. Thank you for this beautiful lead up. Destinee. I'm
Yes.
so interested. I feel like I always say I'm so interested to hear this. I always am. Like we've had such a beautiful conversation and now I'm just chomping down to know. Destinee, if you had the power to turn any trope from movies or television into something that is instantly and magically true for you, which trope would you do? Which one would you make manifest in your life?
I think fantasy, because I think we'd all like some magic powers and maybe shooting like miniature versions of ourselves from our hands. Like, who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah.
The magical world trope is a popular one.
yeah,
and
I
why
think
shouldn't it
so.
be, right?
Yeah.
Right.
On this planet, in this economy,
Yeah.
hidden worlds, magic, a whole nother magical side of things.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
That would be amazing. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I want.
All
I
right.
want it.
That's an excellent answer. Well, again, Destinee, thank you for joining us. This has been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
I also would like to take a moment to thank my incredibly brilliant, handsome, delightful, and desirable co-host, Rachel Quirky Shank.
As I stick my tongue out. And I would like to thank my Worth the Wait podcast host, Matt, aka Stormageddon. It's the only thing
And I,
I
of course,
script
would
on
like-
this show.
No, it's not. We're improvisers. We're just going with the flow. We don't need no stinking script. Anyway, on that note,
Maybe
I'm really
we
going to let
do.
us all go home. Yeah, maybe we do.
I'm going to
thank
have
you
an
to our-
existential crisis now. Oh, goody.
I also want to thank our incredible listeners. We have no
Thank
show without
you.
y'all. So thank you for being here. We adore you. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Without you, we would be the ones shouting at the birds.
Can you believe we've been friends for 7 years?
And it all started because I compared you to Alana the lioness.
Tamara Pierce really set the tone of our friendship.
A love of magic,
Briar Moss,
fantasy,
Briar Moss,
powerful women, and of course,
Briar Moss. I'm Anna.
And I'm MJ,
And we invite you to join our Circle of Friendship,
where we do a chapter-by-chapter deep dive into the Circle of Magic series by Tamara Pierce.
We answer important questions like, how does Moonstream let certain dedicates take care of children?
Can you imagine anyone else but Mandy Patinkin playing Nico?
Knives, Briar?
And
Knives?
join us every other Monday at cofpodcast.libsyn.com or wherever you download podcasts.
But seriously, knives?
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.